In the past couple of weeks, a lot has been going on the topic of boxing. I mean, we've got stuff in the Olympics when it comes down to transgenders in boxing, specifically when it comes to Iman Khalif, who has just won the women's welterweight gold medal. I don't want to get too much onto this topic because that's not what the video is about, but that's just an example of like social media blowing shit way out of proportion. I don't agree with transgenders in boxing. I do not agree with it. I do not think men should be mixed in with the women fighters. I do not think women fighters should be mixed in with men. It's dangerous and it's unfair, but people are so focused on the fact that this woman has a cock, even though she doesn't have a cock. She was born with female genitalia, but obviously false information spread because someone wanted to make her look bad and they went around saying that she had a dick. And then all of the people who don't agree with transgenders in boxing, obviously thinking that she has a dick, are kicking off. At first, I thought she had a penis, but no, she doesn't. She was born with female genitals, but she has a rare condition where she was born with XY chromosomes. I haven't done enough research into it, but she's not a man. All right, I like she's got a vag. And also, there's another transgender who just is a man. But we could talk about those topics another time. Terence Crawford just beat Madrimov, which I've been saying to people for a long time is Terence Crawford's toughest fight, or one of his toughest fights. Madrimov was the man to beat Terence Crawford. He's the person who, before the fight even happened, you're a bit worried about. If you're actually a boxing fan, you've watched Madrimov before. I watched him win the world title about 9-0. I don't think I've ever seen anyone win the world title with that little amount of fights. Joe Lords v Stevie McKenna is another fight that was an absolute fucking worldie. Just a slugfest for 3 rounds. Obviously, in the end, Joe Lords got finished in the 3rd round, but it was a fucking war. Lords gets knocked down. Lords gets back up, knocks Stevie McKenna down with this fucking peach of a left hook, and then McKenna gets back up and then ends up finishing Joe Lords. But as much as I love that fight and as much as I want to talk about it, there is one man that has been on my mind this past week. A man who I think is just going to fucking steamroll through the division. And that man is none other than Martin Bakole. Now, if you didn't watch his fight against Jared Anderson on Saturday night,
watch it!
Martin Bakole just smashed American's most promising prospect in the heavyweight division. Now, I knew Bakole was good, but I didn't know he was this good. He fights like a modern-day George Foreman. I mean, on first glance of watching Martin Bakole, you go, well, he's a bit chubby. He looks a little bit out of shape. You know, who is this guy? You look at his record and think, oh, you know what? 21-1. Fucking fair play. Fantastic record. But then you watch him fight Jared Anderson and he picked him apart. The accuracy and the speed that this man has is insane. Throwing these awkward uppercuts, this is why I say that he's a lot like George Foreman, the modern day George Foreman, because George Foreman used to have these beautiful uppercuts. Bakole just looks so accurate, so speedy. And it's a bit of a mindfuck because if you've never watched him before, and this is your first fight that you watch him, you think that Jared Anderson, his opponent, is an amateur. Martin Bakole made this fight look easy. And the reason I say he'll steamroll through the division is because he will. If you watch his latest fight and you look at the likes of Dubois, you look at the likes of Johnny Fishers, you look at the likes of Anthony Joshua's, Andy Ruiz's or Jarrell Miller's, you know, they drew on the weekend, by the way. You've got people like Hughie Fury coming back up in the scene, you know? And I look at them and I think, this man beats you easy. I know I hate on Daniel Dubois quite a lot, but this guy shits all over Daniel Dubois. He does damage to Daniel Dubois. He's the man to end Daniel Dubois' career, potentially. I absolutely adored Johnny Fisher as well. At the end of the day, he's working his way up in the heavyweight rankings. Give him 3 or 4 more fights, and then he'll be up there with the level and the likes of Martin Bakole. But can Johnny Fisher box well against someone who's as technical, as heavy hitting, as fast as Martin Bakole? I don't think so. Would Anthony Joshua have an issue with him? Have a problem with him? I think so. Whenever Joshua fights someone who is awkward in style, he loses. Look at Alexander Usyk. Lost twice to him. That's not me saying that Anthony Joshua is a bad boxer at all. That's just me stating a fact. Now, I would mention the likes of like Joe Joyce's and Derek Chisora's, but they're finished. Two other heavyweights that I forgot to mention. Another two British heavyweights that I'm huge fans of, that I went to go and watch at the O2 at the end of March. That's Fraser Clark and Fabio Wardley. I think Martin Bakole beats both. Now, for the first time in a few years, I'm looking at the heavyweight division and going, you know what? It's picking up a bit. You know, everyone is terrified for the day that the old heavyweights retire, but there's new ones coming in, but the people coming in are just as good or even better than the heavyweights that they're taking over from. In a couple of years' time, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua won't be fighting anymore. They're both 34 years old. They're both nearing the end of their career, actually. And when Joshua wins this world title against Daniel Dubois in September, he might defend it, or he might go for the belts again against Alexander Usyk. Now, I saw this morning that Alexander Usyk has actually opened up and said that he wouldn't mind a fight against Anthony Joshua, but it's not on the top of his list. But if that fight's there, when Joshua wins the world title and that fight is on the table, you best believe Alexander Usyk will be fucking jumping at the thought of that. I know he's only fighting for one belt. I know it's Anthony Joshua, but he could unify the belts again. Solidify his status as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. One of the greatest cruiserweights of all time. The greatest cruiserweight of all time, in my opinion. And then he can retire happily. So my point is, when these fighters retire, we have some brilliant heavyweights who are taking over. Martin Bakole, I know he's a little bit on the older side, but he's taking over. Moses Atama, 19 years old, same age as me, and he's steam piling through the heavyweight division at the moment. At 19 years old, 11-0 with 10 knockouts. We have Johnny Fisher, Fabio Wardley, and Fraser Clark ain't going nowhere anytime soon. And I know I'm only talking about British heavyweights at the moment, but let's be honest, there's not really anything in the American scene. Apart from Andy Ruiz and Jarrell Miller, who both looked pretty shit on the weekend. Andy Ruiz looked lazy, as he did in the rematch against Anthony Joshua. He looked unfit. He didn't look well trained. He looked underprepared. Jarrell Miller had lost a lot of weight, but he came in heavier than he's ever been before. So I don't know what happened there. He probably just put on a load of muscle and whatever. But that just shows that Andy Ruiz and that cannot compete at a high level. Dubois knocked out Jarrell Miller. Andy Ruiz didn't. Andy Ruiz got a draw from that fight. I think the Americans are out of this. And I think the English are taking over. And Martin Bakole, Frenchman. I mean, in the scene at the moment, we still have people like Joe Parker and Zhilei Zhang, but they're not fresh. We have some fresh heavyweights coming through. But I think Martin Bakole, I think he beats everyone in the heavyweight division at the moment, and I will stick by that. He gives Tyson Fury a run for his money. He gives Anthony Joshua a run for his money. He gives Alexander Usyk a run for his money. If you disagree with my statement that Bakole will beat all the top dogs in the division, please leave your thoughts down in the comments below. I'll put a poll out as well, which will be on my community tab, so just go and check that out. If you want to see me talk about the topics of transgenders in boxing, the Olympics, transgenders in MMA, if you want to see me talk about topics like the worst weight in boxing, the most irrelevant weight in boxing, if you want to hear me talk about my dream matchups in combat sports, then leave a like down below, subscribe, and click the notification bell. I would like to see those comments down in the comment section below, telling me what you would like for me to talk about, telling me what you're excited for me to talk about. And not only that, just giving me you guys' opinions on the situations as well, because I want to hear them. Also, if you want to talk to me about it online, go and visit my Twitter or X account, which is NSCombatSpecialistAJ. Same as my Instagram. It'll be in the link down in the description below. But go and check it out, and then we'll have a chat about it, and I'll respond to your opinions. Also, guys, there's a link down in the description to my Amazon wishlist. So if you want to go and support the channel, feel free to go and have a look. You do not have to buy anything if you do not want to. It's just an option. You guys just watching my videos is a massive appreciation anyway. So thank you. Anyway, guys, I've been a Not So Combat Specialist because I suck. See you later.